Okay. I think we're ready. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy solstice. Solstice. Yay. The longest day is here and the shortest night. Um, and now we begin to say goodbye to the light. Um, we we start to get shorter days after this. And so it's such a powerful time because not only are we in the solstice and we're in the time of full moon is coming, like immediately, and also we have um, the time of uh, manifestation and releasing and the ending of Mercury retrograde. So there is a lot that is going on energetically right now with things that are shifting and things that are um, moving in the world of the universe. And I want to tell you what I always tell you, which is just breathe and know that you will get through all of these things, and that everything's going to be okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is solstice. So we have the longest day, and after this point, the days will get shorter. It may not seem like much in the first few days. And I don't know about where you are, but we've been enjoying these amazing, amazing sunsets with the Saharan layer, the dust that comes off the Sahara Desert that comes to the United States. And it just creates this amazing, beautiful colors in the sunsets. So we have that going on. So the days are going to start to get shorter. And again, you may not notice it right away as like, right now the sun sets close to 8 o'clock at night, at the peak of summer. And then we'll start to see the days get shorter as we move towards fall. So knowing that we are, in one sense, saying goodbye to the light as we move from this solstice now towards the next solstice, the winter solstice, where in December we will welcome the light to come back. So it's important to just to be aware, because again, it becomes this time where in spring and summer we go forward, are fertile, we are sprouting new ideas, new energies, and as we come to the fall, we begin to prepare for the winter, we begin to ground ourselves in the earth, we begin to shore up our energy, and things get a little slower with manifestation oftentimes as we come towards that, the ending of the calendar year. So that's doesn't have to be the case, but it's interesting about energy we have in the spring and summer. Energy just bursts forth, and as we're coming into the days getting shorter, you may see that begin to shift, and especially since we are coming to the full moon portal, where we know it's that time of releasing, and then energy is going to start working its way down over the next 2 weeks, towards the new moon time. And so we want to be mindful of, again, releasing those things that no longer serve us, allowing those things to be removed from our lives that don't need to be in our life anymore. And again, we're coming to the end of the Mercury retrograde. So Mercury retrograde will officially end tomorrow, but we have this energy burst that happens at the ending of Mercury retrograde, where that first 2 weeks before retrograde begins and the last 2 weeks when retrograde ends, it is the time of great energy shifting. And so what I want to just caution you is that because we are still in that retrograde energy, where we are dealing with communications and electronics and technologies and things, one of the big themes that has been coming up in this particular retrograde is tolerance. And it's interesting because what I have not been getting is the messages of love everybody and tolerate everyone and support people where they are, which if you follow me at all, that's always going to be my message, is that always going to be about loving people and extending that blanket of light around everyone. But what's interesting is what's been coming up a lot, for this particular retrograde process, has been so much about what we tolerate in our lives. you know, that piece of dirt that's on the floor, and every time you walk by it, you're like, I gotta pick that up, but you don't. You're tolerating it. The dirty dishes in the sink, you're like, yeah, yeah, I'll get to it. We don't. We're tolerating it. That neighbor who maybe is, you know, being overly nosy or rude or something, and you have yet to say anything about it, or to, you know, put some, you know, Reiki feng shui mirrors, or put some, you know, defensive crystals, things like that, so that you can, you know, create that barrier. And those are things, like, these are things that we're allowing to be in our lives that don't need to be there, things that we're tolerating in our lives that don't need to be there. And that's one of the biggest thing, that I really feel has been coming up in this retrograde is, what are we tolerating in our lives? And so as we're coming now to the end of the retrograde, it's not too late. It's not too late to address these things, because we still have this 2 week window as Mercury goes direct. It's like when you're passing someone on the highway. So when we are driving on the highway, we're both going, you know, the same speed as the car next to us. We're both direct. We're both going direct. But when we start to pass the other car, and the other car now is still going forward, but appears to be falling behind, that's retrograde. But so now Mercury is back here, and Mercury is going to go direct tomorrow. And so it's going to start moving forward, but it takes that period of time for it to catch up and then pass us. So this is that 2 week window where we are still in the retrograde energy, and it can be pretty intense. So take some time and really give yourself the opportunity to look at, what is it that I'm tolerating in my life? What am I tolerating that I can, deal with? And I don't like to use the word confront, but that you can at least to address. So if there is something that you have been reluctant to say, eh, I don't know who you are, Jing, but there's nothing showing on my bra, so I'm fine. Thank you. I appreciate your concern, though. Uh, but what are things that you have been tolerating, in your, oh, I'm all good, in your world, things that you may need to, address, that you have been reluctant to address. And so one of the things that I would really ask you to look at, or suggest that you look at, is what is it that's been going on around you that you may, need, that you have been really reluctant to connect with or communicate with, and what things have you been tolerating in your life that every time that thing comes up, you're like, oh God. So this is the time to deal with that stuff, so that you can clear it off your plate, because it is sitting on your energy. It is sitting on that place that keeps you from abundant and flowing energy. It's like putting a kink in your garden hose. You know, you turn the water on and you want to block the water, you bend the hose, so the water still could flow, but maybe not as efficiently. So we want to really make sure we're clearing all of that stuff up, and that there's nothing, that's staying with us, that there's nothing that is, let's see if we can, there's nothing that is, blocking our energy in that sense. And so if there's something you've been reluctant to deal with, then it would really be, you know, I'm very sorry to my Facebook friends, but I'm going to, so for my Instagram folks, I'm going to just cut this short, and I'll come back in a few minutes, because right now I have somebody on my Instagram that I don't need to have on there, and you don't need to have on there getting in our way. So I'm going to get off, and hopefully Shing 59528 can take a hint and go off and go bother somebody else. So I do apologize to, the I do apologize to the folks on Facebook for that. So let me get Instagram set back up again. I do apologize, but I had somebody on the Instagram feed that was just being, inappropriate. So we'll, see if we can try that again. So, and hopefully Cindy will find her way back. So, whatever things that you have been avoiding, or that you have been, reluctant to address, maybe it's a conversation that you need to have, or, a boundary that you need to set. That's a big one when in Mercury retrograde. There's often a boundary that we need to set, someplace where we need to say, I don't want to, I don't want this person around me, or something where we need to just draw a line in the sand and say, I'm not comfortable when you use that kind of language, or I'm uncomfortable with whatever that situation may be. This is the time for you to address that. And we don't have to address it in a harsh way. We don't have to be like, you suck and I hate it when you do this or that. But you can certainly come to people with compassion and love and say, this particular thing makes me very uncomfortable. And I see that you're back. And if you are inappropriate, I will just end the video again. So it's up to you if you want to ruin it for everybody else. And so to be able to come to people with compassion and to be able to say, a perfect example for my friend on Instagram, I am uncomfortable with you. Okay, you can go. Bye-bye. So I am very sorry for the people on Instagram that now I have to go and block somebody on Instagram, and I'm really, really sorry. Yeah, I don't even know how to do that. I suppose I could. I don't know how to do that, to block somebody. How do you block a spammer on Instagram? This is new. I've not had this problem before. Yay, I guess. But I can't have somebody be inappropriate while we're trying to have our conversation. So I'm very, very sorry for that. I will look that up later and figure out how to address that. So I guess I may have to just get over it. But as this is a Mercury retrograde moment, talking about tolerance and what we're going to accept and not accept in our lives, especially with the actions of others, in a compassionate way and in a firm way, to be able to say, no, I'm not accepting that. So in this particular case, somebody on Instagram being very inappropriate, and I'm not going to welcome that into my space. So to be able to say, I need to cut the Instagram feed. So if you were watching on Instagram, I'm really sorry. But this is a perfect example of the things in communication that are being brought up, especially as we come into this tail end of Mercury retrograde, being about what things are we allowing in our lives that we don't need to? Where are the boundaries that we can set that says, no, I'm not going to let somebody treat me that way, or I'm not going to engage in someone who acts a certain way, engage with someone who acts a certain way, or to be able to set up those boundaries to say, this is what's okay with me, and if it's on the other side of that, we're gonna either set up some boundaries, we're going to set some ground rules. So I have had clients as well where I have had to sit down with them and say, okay, before we get started, we're going to have some ground rules, and that's okay, because you can do those things with love. You don't have to do them with anger or hostility. You can do those things with compassion and understand where they're coming from. Now, if you're talking about a spammer who is making inappropriate comments on your on something, I think that it is definitely behooves us to be a little bit firmer, and to take action to not let people harass and harangue us. So if you have somebody in your life who is really just being a giant pain in your butt, you may have to come to them with a little bit less than compassion and a little bit more firmness. But this is definitely the time to stand up and have our boundaries of what we will tolerate and allow in our lives and what we won't. And this has really been a huge theme in this period of retrograde. One of the things that I've noticed is that we have been conditioned, because especially in this country over the last few years, there has been this rise of anger and hatred and racism and dog whistles and secret symbols and wink wink, nudge nudge, don't look at what I said, I didn't mean it, all this kind of thing that was sort of unleashed and given voice to from our previous government. And I think that we have been conditioned as a society to, don't rock the boat, don't say anything, you don't want to get, provoke somebody, you don't want to get attacked or anything like that, because you don't know who is going to be, really on the other side. And so you do want to be polite, but there's absolutely the and so we've fallen into this don't say anything kind of mentality. And for me, that just doesn't work. I feel like you can meet people with compassion and kindness, but you can still be firm to say, I hear where you are, but that's not where I'm at. And so this is no longer going to work for us to go in the same direction together. So you go your way and I'll go my way. And it is okay to say that, because I think so often we get very reluctant to set those boundaries. And I want to say that really in the last several months, I have personally told at least 3 people not to contact me anymore. And I think that it's really important that we can say that firmly and politely. I didn't say, F off. I just said, please do not contact me anymore. And then if needed, you can certainly, block those people. So apparently I'm going to have to go figure out how to block somebody on Instagram. But it's okay to set those boundaries. And I think one of the things that we forget in this time, especially in American society, where we have been conditioned to, don't say anything, you don't want to make people angry, you don't know who they are, that it is okay to, obviously personal safety is always paramount, but to be able to stand up with kindness, not anger, and say, this doesn't work for me, and I need to be over here. And if you've been following me at all, you've heard me talk about loving people over there. Love them away. So you can have compassion. You don't have to like a person that is not condoning their actions when you have compassion and you say, you need to go over there, or you stay here and I'll go over there, but you need to not be near me right now, or maybe ever. So it is okay to set those boundaries. And so I think that's one of the biggest things I wanted to share today, is as we are going forward, as we're coming to the end of the retrograde and into this last really fecund period, it is really important to take the messages from retrograde, because if you come into retrograde and you're like, retrograde, then that's going to be your experience. Everything is going to feel like it's going wrong. It's going to be very everything's going to be in conflict, because you are putting your energy at odds with what the universe is trying to manifest and shake up and release into your life, or release from your life. And so I really trusting the universe that even when your phone is malfunctioning, or you're not, you're maybe having trouble getting your point across, or somebody is making weird comments to you on social media, to be able to say, I take a breath, I ask Spirit for the right way to proceed, show me what to do. Okay, I trust that that's the right direction to go in. And then don't look back. Don't look back. We don't have to, apologize for being who we are. And so I think that is one of the most powerful things in the universe, is when we can truly step into who we are and accept ourselves for who we are and love ourselves for who we are. So I made a post the other day for the solstice of be who you are and love who you be, because I think that is so important. So here I pulled the very first card for us from our Oracle of the Seven Energies, and this is the Call of the Muse. The Call of the Muse reminds us to listen to the guidance, to listen to the inspirations around us, and to help us to be more true to who we are. And so the Call of the Muse. Okay, that is our first card for today. And so now we'll move into our Oracle goddess, the Goddess Power Oracle cards, and we'll see which goddess is going to be with us as we listen to the Call of the Muse. I love that, the Call of the Muse, listening to our guidance, right? That's third eye. That's the third eye chakra of listening to the guidance, paying attention to the signs and symbols that we're receiving around us all the time. We are getting guidance from the universe all the time. Do we listen? Not all the time. And so the more that we can allow ourselves to tune into that and to listen, the stronger that guidance is going to be. And so we have Ma'at. We've had Ma'at before, and I'm going to grab my glasses so we can read what she has to tell us. But she was with us very, very recently as well, Ma'at. And she's all about truth. I love this. Listening to the Call of the Muse, and then the card of truth, the goddess of truth, being true to yourself. Be who you are, love who you be. perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Because again, the Mercury retrograde is about releasing things from your life that no longer serve you, following that guidance so that you are being releasing things from your life that you do not need to tolerate anymore, allowing yourself to see the truth of who you are and who you are meant to be, and allowing yourself to see the truth of what it is that's around you that you have been tolerating, and move that stuff out of the way. So with Ma'at, so it says there's great power in telling the truth and allowing it to lead you to higher ground. It is only when we refuse to see the reality of a situation that we lose our power to co-create for the highest good. The Egyptian goddess Ma'at, M-A-apostrophe-A-T, Ma'at, comes to remind you that if you are willing to do a fearless self-inventory and live authentically with rigorous honesty, it will lead you to great success in all areas of your life. Being completely transparent with others, although it might at first feel too vulnerable, is exactly what you need to do now. So this is exactly what we were just talking about. I love when the cards are, they are always just so on point. But this is exactly what we were talking about. What is it that you are tolerating? What are you allowing to continue in your life? And what can you do to address it? Because seeing the truth of who you are, the truth of what's going on around you, and the truth of what you're tolerating in your life is exactly the message of this particular Mercury retrograde, in my opinion, or in what's been given to me. It's not my opinion, it's what they've been giving to me. So, all right, let's grab our cards so we can use, I love this deck. This is the Rebecca Campbell Work Your Light Oracle card deck. I got to tell you, this is one of my favorite decks that I've ever used. I love the energy in this deck. So I bought this when I was in Virginia Beach at the Edgar Cayce Center several years ago. I had the privilege of being up there well before COVID for a week-long study. Such an amazing, amazing place. And these Oracle cards just really called to me, and I have been just loving working with them. So Rebecca Campbell, Work Your Light Oracle cards. So the first one is the Great Gathering. It's all coming together. And then it says down here, intuitive hits and soul tribe. And what I love about this is that this is giving us that guidance of we are in it together. Soul tribe, we are all in it together. The people who are waking up, the people who are the light carriers, the light bringers, the empaths, the seers, the channelers. This is such an important time that we are, and this is one of the conversations I've been having with so many people, that we have so many people who are in empaths that are so overwhelmed by what's going on in the world right now. These empaths that they're missing out on the signs and symbols that are being given to them. And at the same time, we need these people to gain focus. We need these people to get grounded and get educated as empaths, because we are the great gathering. We are absolutely the great gathering. We are the ones who are going to help continue to shift humanity's great awakening, which we have been seeing happening all through the last 8 to 10 years. And so this is such a big part of it. It is so important that we are connecting with the people who are seeing the light, the soul tribe, knowing that we are all in this together, and honoring the intuitive hits that we are getting, because we are all in it together. And it is so much, like I said before, about listening to the signs and symbols, the truth, allowing ourselves to see the truth, see the signs and symbols. We are missing so many of those, and it's really important that we are paying attention. And so we have, oh, interesting. So here's the next card, is Trust the Niggle. I think that's pretty self-explanatory and goes along exactly with what we've been talking about. Trust your intuition, trust yourself. If you are somebody who is empathic and you feel like you're bouncing all over the walls, you definitely want to try and get grounded, get control. If you haven't checked out my online class, Becoming an Empowered Empath, you can definitely do that at SherryDworkin-SmithLearn.com. But and there's a link on my website. But this is all about trusting our intuition, trusting ourselves, learning to listen to ourselves. And I say listen, I don't mean just ears. Okay, we can hear and intuit and bring in information from our eyes, our ears, our nose, our mouth, our feeling energy around us. It is so important that we are paying attention to what is going on around us, because it is so important for us now to lift that veil and see what we have been unwilling to see, and stand in that gap and say, okay, this is what I'm willing to welcome into my life, and this is what I am not willing to welcome into my life, and I'm going to put up some boundaries around myself to protect myself so I'm not letting in toxic things. And at the same time, to be able to bring others with me so that I am with my soul tribe, that we are stronger together. Let our energy feed off of each other so that we can create this huge bubble of light. And that is how we come together and we change humanity for the better, because so many more people are waking up and they're like, okay, I'm an overwhelmed empath. How do I shake this off? How do I come into a place of more groundedness so that I can use my abilities for positive instead of having them be a burden? And this is a huge part of that, seeing the truth of who we are. Be who you are and love who you be. This is, I think this is going to be one of those things you're going to hear me say a lot. And then here's the third card. Trust your path. Trust your path. This is one of the biggest messages that Mercury retrograde comes to deliver every single time, is trust your path. Where they are trying to take us is where you are meant to go. They will not put you in harm's way. That doesn't mean that bad things or difficult things won't happen, but it also means that you are right where you need to be and right where you are on the path to go. So we've talked before, right? Here's my slinky. You've seen my slinky before. We've talked before about why does it keep, I feel like I keep coming back to the same place every single time. I keep doing the same thing. Well, you haven't learned the lesson yet. So you may be coming back to the same thing, but you're doing it at a higher level because you maybe learned part of the lesson, but you still have a little bit of the lesson to learn. So we have that. We keep coming around to the same things. And here's the other part, right? Time, we've talked about time, the Jeremy Bearimy of time. I love this analogy that if you have never seen Ted Danson and Kristen Bell in The Good Place, I think it's on Netflix. It's definitely worth seeing. Ted Danson's character at one point gives this great explanation of how time works, and time goes forwards and back and wiggles around itself as if you were writing out the name Jeremy Bearimy in cursive. And I think that is so perfectly describing it, because you go forwards and back and you loop over and under, and this is time, but you're always still going forward. Okay, so even though it may feel like, oh, I took a wrong turn, you can't take a wrong turn. You can't take a wrong turn. Trust your path. You cannot take a wrong turn. You are going in the right direction. I promise you, even if it feels like you've looped back. Like if you've ever gone mountain climbing, and I don't profess to be a big mountain climber, but I have been out west to some of our amazing national parks here in the United States, Yosemite and Glacier, and climbed mountains. Like literally climbed up the top of a mountain. There's pictures in my bedroom of Glacier National Park of when we climbed up to the top of a mountain. It was high. I don't remember exactly how high it was, but we climbed up to the top of this mountain. It took several hours. We climbed up to the top of this mountain, but the path was not straight. We didn't just go up the mountain, and it wasn't a spiral. We didn't go around, but we did switchbacks, and it did go around the mountain, and it doubled back, and you could look down and see, like, I was just down there on that road and on that path, and then you're like up here, and it would switch back and go back and forth and back and forth. But even though we were going back and forth, and we were going back across the same face of the mountain that we had just traversed at a lower level, at no point did I say we're going backwards, because we're still going forwards. Even though we were doing switchbacks on the mountain roads, it's on the mountain trail, we were still going forward. We were still going up. We were still following the path. We were still on the mission. We were still going in the right direction. We still reached the summit. We still reached the destination. There is no wrong way. There is no wrong way. Trust the path. There is no wrong way. And so as you're going forward through this week, know that you are being asked to trust the call of the muse, which means trust your intuition, your third eye. What messages are you being given from spirit, from the universe, or from loved ones on the other side? Trust the intuition that you are getting. The call of the muse is strong and getting stronger for those who are willing to hear it. Allow them to guide you, because I promise you they will never lead you wrong. Ma'at, the Egyptian goddess, reminds us to hear the truth, to be willing to hear the truth about what's going on in our life, what we're tolerating, what we're allowing from other people or situations or circumstances, to ensure that we are doing the best and going forward for our truest selves. That may mean cutting certain people off, that may mean setting boundaries, but allowing yourself to live in your truth. Be who you are, love who you be. And so we are again also reminded that we are not alone on this journey. We are not alone. There are others like us, and seeking them out and finding each other and coming together in the growing of the light following your soul tribe, aligning with your soul tribe, and trusting those intuitive hits that you are getting. Because if you're watching me, if you're somebody who's watching my videos, then of course you're getting intuitive hits, or you wouldn't have found someone like me. Okay, you only people who are aware of the metaphysical or believe in the metaphysical or have a curiosity about the metaphysical because they're getting their own intuitive hits. Those are the people who are coming along and finding us. So you know that I'm here to remind you that your soul tribe is out there. You are not alone. There are so many others like you, and more people are waking up to their intuition, and that there's something bigger out there in the universe than just themselves. This is the awakening and the coming together, the gathering, the great gathering of the soul tribe. So you are not alone. Allow yourself to be joined and supported by those who are experiencing the same things. You are trusting the niggle, right? That is the reminder to trust your intuition. Trust where you're being led. You will never be led astray by the universe. Trust where you are being led, because as you do that, you will be absolutely on the right path. You cannot be on the wrong path. So trust your path. You cannot be on the wrong path. There is just no such thing as being on the wrong path. Even when it feels like I've been here before, you're coming around a little bit higher up the mountain. You've learned some of the lesson. You're learning the next part of the lesson. You'll learn the next part of the lesson, and eventually you'll reach the top of the mountain. There is no wrong path. There is no wrong way. Trust the universe. Trust yourself. Stand in your truth. Love who you are. Be who you are. Love who you be, who you came here to be. And look around at the things that you may be tolerating in your life. People who are rude or disrespectful or belittling, or someone who treats you in a negative way. It is okay to set those boundaries, and it is okay to say, I don't want to have this person around me right now, or ever. Love them away. Love them. You don't have to hold hate or anger or resentment or anything in your life or in your heart. Love them over there. Set boundaries. Live in the truth. See the truth of what's going on around you and what you've been tolerating in your life, and allow for the good things to come in. You are not on the wrong path. You are not on the wrong path. I want to say thank you so much for choosing to spend some time with me today. I am sorry that we had to get a little bit disrupted by somebody a little bit slimy. And if you were an Instagram person, I apologize that we had to cut that video short. I will address that situation. And hopefully you will join me again next Monday. I will not be live for meditation on Wednesday of this week. I need to go to a funeral on Wednesday, so I will not be available for meditation on Wednesday night, but I will see if I can get with you on another night for a little impromptu meditation. And if not, I will look forward to seeing you back here next Monday. And I want to say thank you. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some time. I hope you have a fantastic week. Be who you are. Love who you be.